Welcome to Picture This, Gardens of the Mind. Picture This projects invite different kinds of creatives to collaborate and inspire one another's creations. In this case, a group of visual artists contributed images which were passed to creative writers as the inspiration for tiny stories. So the project has worked in 3 layers, with our artists initially creating artwork purely inspired by the theme of Gardens of the Mind. These artworks were then allocated into sets of 3, which were sets with images from 3 different artists. Our writers initially received 1 set of 3 images, and they were asked to create a first half of a tiny story, which linked those images in sequence. They then received one of the part 1 pieces from another writer in addition to another set of 3 images, and they were then asked to finish that tiny story that the first writer had created based on the images that they got in that second set. So in their exhibition, you will hear those tiny stories read aloud by the writers who created them as we display the beautiful pieces of visual art created by our artists. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the curator of the project. I'm a writer-illustrator originally from Australia, but currently based in Sheffield, UK. I create in various mediums, including watercolour and coloured pencil illustration, other kinds of art, short stories for grown-ups, young adult queer supernatural fiction, which I'm querying my first novel for, poetry, photography, little bits of film, which you'll see some of in between the stories here, and bringing together other creatives to produce projects like this and to promote other people's amazing creative work. So I hope you'll enjoy this collaboration.
Hi, I'm Margaret Fletcher. For this exhibition, I wanted to challenge myself by creating some 3D pieces out of watercolour. And then I thought, how can I make this interesting? So I put some fabric on there from my stash and some metallic thread to add some interest. And the cylinder represents, I could spin that. If I made a cylinder, I could spin it and make it really interesting and make it like a continuation of your thoughts in your mind.
Hi, my name is Asiya Patel and I'm a writer as well as a digital artist. I have an Etsy shop where I sell bookmarks and poetry prints. I also write in my free time. As well as poetry, I write novels. I self-published during lockdown my first romance novel, and I also self-published my poetry book. But I'm a Virgo who likes to travel and, of course, to read and just have a lot of fun.
My name is Ree Johnson and I am an artist and arts lecturer from Queensland, Australia. I work primarily with different forms of printmaking, particularly reduction lino-cut printing. This is a process which can involve many intermittent stages of carving, inking and printing, which I find meditative and perpetually reflective. For this project, I have leveraged these techniques to explore notions of place and memory or emotional connection. I have depicted sites of personal significance, yet altered visual components based on my own memories and impressions of the sites.
Hi, my name's Emily. I'm an artist, filmmaker and an ecologist, and for this exhibition I've contributed 1 artwork and some pieces of video that I filmed in my mum's garden, which you'll see dotted here and there. Thanks everyone.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth, a part-time writer from South Australia. I love being a part of creations with other artists and writers because it always helps me learn ways to see and to think about the world. So I hope you enjoy these Gardens of the Mind. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
Hi everybody, my name is Emma Morrissey and I am a fine artist based in Hampshire in the UK. So traditionally I'm a portrait artist specialising in realism, but in recent years I've been interested in the imagination and illustrative related work, so I wanted to take that approach to this exhibition. I wanted to use watercolour pencils, one so I could still delve into realism, which I've been doing for years and I really enjoy, but also so I can get the softness of watercolour. And I've been looking at surrealism to inspire me for this exhibition.
Hello, my name is Matt Beams and I'm a writer based in Southampton in the UK. I'm contributing as a writer for this exhibition. My other work includes a lot of writing for theatre, long and short fiction, some poetry, and other projects include the creation of board games and writing and self-publishing content for tabletop gaming. You can find out more about my work and the other things I do in the link in the video description below.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm an artist based in Cork, Ireland. For this project, I created 3 woolly paintings. I'm a textile artist, so I specifically needle felt using locally sourced wool to create what I like to look like as paintings. So that's what I'm contributing, and I hope you all enjoy. You can find me on Instagram, Emily A. Thompson _artist. You can also find me on Etsy. You can find that link in my Instagram.
Hi, I'm Kirsty. I'm a writer from Hertfordshire. Whatever I write is normally led by acts of play. I like my what-ifs to go a bit feral. It's like unleashing this brain gremlin that goes away and comes back with a bizarre or macabre or silly idea that it found somewhere unexpected. I find music a very emotive way of burying myself into the vibe of what I'm writing, so I tend to pair my initial ideas with music that matches that vibe and see what the gremlin comes up with.
Hello, I'm Ella, a self-taught mixed media artist and architectural renderer from London. Within my creative practice, I enjoy delving into various art movements, from collage and figurative art to surrealism and architectural pieces. In this phase, my paintings are characterized by vibrant, dynamic colors, reflecting my fascination with the interplay of hues and the emotional expression conveyed through the chosen color palette. There are instances where I explore monochrome schemes or limit myself to a palette of just 3 or 4 colors. The mediums in my toolkit include watercolors, acrylics, pen and ink, and more recently gouache paints, which have become a favorite.
Look there, how fortunate I am to see so many blues and a shadow like pathways of the brain neurons, which make so many different ways of thought, ways to know the garden. It helps me see memories and visions, to grow new ideas, to feel life on a huge scale and make memory pathways to build up and bring inside. Out there, framed by my inside window, I'm not with them, but I know there are so many different greens. I can't see sky, but I remember the smell of fallen blossoms, the peace of sun and earth, and in my mind I draw the details of life in a flower, on a leaf, beneath the ground and in the sky. In here, where the special experiences of up and out are still in my mind, I have brought the garden inside. I can feel it, smell it, see it glimmer, spreading around light and colour and feelings and scents, and it settles joyous memories into my mind.
Settled in joy, I drift among thoughts small and large, of the world and beyond. The smell of earth and the feel of the wind is real enough in imagination, truer perhaps than memory. The texture of sky and the ground beneath, as rich as the love of a mother and child, as much like home. The waters of the world flow on, and I let the current carry me. Drifting on scents of coffee and rose petals, I find the world anew, a bright and sweet landscape in a carousel dance of celebration. Real or dream I cannot say, yet this place too is home. I exist in duality, there and here, within and without, up and out and also in. I am made whole by the world even when it lies beyond me, by barrier or distance or time. Made whole and, even watching from afar, wholly part of it.
There is a pool that awaits me, slick with sweat and chlorine that stings your nostrils, but it's signed with my name. It says, "You are welcome any time of day." The swimming pool never shuts. No staff to patrol the area, and certainly no lifeguard to save me. There are no such things as opening or closing times, for I am never free, so I let my feet dangle into the water that says, "You're here now." Jump off the red plank and repeat the words in the mirror. The word lifeguard stares back at me. You don't know what lies for you in these waters. You don't know what lies for you when you look up from the water with your back against it. Some people are meant for experimental love. Alone in the pool, you can see the universe, and nothing makes sense about science except that you're meant to grow up, and you're meant to be grown over. A mere seed, your mother said. There is a damaged field that calls your name, and you're wondering, wasn't it a pool? Pool and field is one. The flowers don't greet you hello. The weeds turn away, and they rush past you, running, towering over you. This is how we show love. You're meant to be among the flowers and the greenery. Don't you see? This is what they mean by growing. This is what they mean by breaking through to dawn.
So what will you do? Are you wild enough to climb? Remember, your time is precious. Your time is now. Will you go up? Grow up? Sink your roots into the water and escape? No one is watching you. Or maybe everyone is watching from windows, saying, "Welcome to the sunny side. You're meant to be among the greenery." Go out there to that coalescence of colour. Find the garden in the clouds and take it all in. Those thoughts that are, that were, that will be. And when the sky swirls down, let your mind go out, turn back, turn around, blend this with that, and know life still calls your name. Then you are becoming what you're meant to be. Don't you see? You are always a work in progress, always something becoming another. Take the advice whispered under leaves, shouted from windows. Take the thoughts and turn them into your own. This is what they mean by becoming yourself. This is what makes you naturally beautiful, remember?
Not one tree in this forest began life as a seed. Disjointed trunks arching, fractured limbs clawing, an end unmistakable. Scrape that lichen aside, I dare you, and you'll resurface a dead and crawling vine, once a pattering vein, aghast eyes wrung into tangled knots, but you won't. It's cruelly simpler to look away. You'd once call them women, but in truth, their legacies have sloughed away like leathered sheets of skin, yet they remember. How could they forget? For their grievances root down, buried deep in the sediment where all their glittering wonders have likewise shed. It's too late to salvage their memory. The earth holds them with the kindness they always yearned. And yet, you're here, cheeks pricked with a rosy freshness that shocks impossible life into this place. Perhaps you are the promise, the centre of this painting, with all their hopeful, knotted eyes fixed upon you.
And you're thinking about how you're late to the party. You didn't bring a present and you're not offered a drink. This is your first party and you're too busy socialising in between galaxies. There's no public transport to get you from place A to B. You make it up as you go along. Jump along the hoops and start naming them after you, one by one, and you realise you're back where you started. Back where you started. The forest is unchanged. The forest is deeper somehow, and you're learning life isn't simple. The trees aren't here to move for you, and the leaves aren't here for you to make them crunch. They don't make a sound. For this is the journey. This is what you and the women before you were here for all along. The promise. That's what you were. Don't forget like the women. Their legacies were made for you to remember. The rosy cheeks and blue knees fade and eternal spring sweeps into your skin, climbing, scratching along the surface, trying to reach something unnamed, until you realise you've walked through 2 whole seasons. You're here, there, everywhere.
It began with a book on gardening found in her grandmother's loft. I dismissed it as just the next obsession, but as each new fragment of knowledge was absorbed, something began to change. Her mind filled with green light and the scent of roses, synapses sparking with photosynthesis as blood became chlorophyll and cells became seeds. The texture of herself began to change too, an expansion quick as mould but vibrant as fungus. She said she felt no less human, even as her lungs glowed with bioluminescence and delicate shelf fungus sprouted on the bark on her arms. We walked together often, in field or forest as takes our fancy, though she is most at home amongst the trees. She has begun to smell of earth and sunlight, though when I tell her this she only laughs. As we wander, she tells me the names of growing things, pressing leaf or petal against her skin, there to remain. Sometimes I cannot tell where she ends and the wood begins.
We lay our heads on a shrouded mound. My fingertips quietly writhe with the urge to pick at the nature-bejeweled turf between us, feral nails craving the snap of grass severed from itself. A gremlin idleness itches. Pick, pick, pick. But I refrain, and I look at her. I'd forgotten she was talking of nightmares. Confusion in concrete and lines and times. It used to be all so familiar, her flitting eyes seemed to cry. But now nothing could be more daunting. Distorted, admit my own. What a lonely world it is now. Soon it is time to part. Her vine-leathered toes root into the lake, while I stand ashore. As my absences grow longer, so do our goodbyes. One day she may not remain, but in some pockets of inner city greenery, I swear I see her smiling, a soul now soft with peace.
Gardens can, for many of us, be places of regeneration, reflection, production, and introspection. They are similar to our minds in that they are endlessly growing, changing, adapting to the seasons, the environment, and the challenges brought to them by other living things. In being full of life, constantly interacting and morphing to meet demands or make the most of spaces and opportunities, they can also be places of wilderness, and they can sometimes be dormant or barren for a time. But what a garden shows us is that with a new season, a little sunshine, or a caring hand, life begins anew. And we hope this is so for our internal gardens as well. We're very different from plants, but in some ways, we're not so different at all. I hope that this collaboration has brought all of us, and all of you watching, a little bit of peace, a little bit of sunshine, and a little bit of space to grow.